Presenting the Brick House Podcast. The Brick House. Here comes the boom.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Brick House Podcast. My name is Matthew Brick, and thank you guys for clicking on this episode. Thank you for deciding to either tune in and watch it or listen to it. Today is a good day. Today is a Saturday morning. I'm really excited for you guys to hear the guest here. I'm just getting to know her. From just the short interactions that I've had with her, she has bold faith, she's fun, has an energetic personality, and, well, you'll have to get to know her. So I'm here with Avery Wood. How are you?
I'm so good. Very great.
Yeah,
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing good. Like I said, I'm glad that we're doing this. We had a Bible study this morning, which is like a good way to start the morning off. I had someone pray over me. I'm going through some stuff. Like, I feel like the weight of like the need for God. That's the best way to put it. I have a desire to be more intentional and have more of a direct connection with God, not just through other things or through people. So this morning I was just like, I was listening, but I wasn't fully there, which I know a kid had previously gave a message on about being fully present, but it wasn't until someone prayed over me. It was like, it was just, I needed it this morning. So, but I'm doing really good. I'm glad that you're here. So Avery, would you mind, you can tell us how you're doing, but also kind of just like, tell us a little bit about you. This is for people listening and watching. This is me also with you guys getting to know Avery here. So anything that you want to start us off with, who you are, what you like to do, and then we can go from there.
So I'm a junior at Columbine High School, and I do a few sports, and I'm pretty new to my faith. I started coming to Red Rocks over the summer, and I have never felt more alive. I got baptized in November, so pretty shortly after I started coming to Red Rocks. So I'm baptized, and my faith journey has been so up and down, and I've never been more grateful to be so up and down. Like, God just feeds me every day. So grateful for it.
Heck yeah. Cool. Well, what sports what sports do you play?
I'm a cheerleader and I do track.
Cheerleader and track. How long have you been doing cheerleading and track for?
I've been doing cheer since freshman year, but before that I was a gymnast for like 9 years, and I've been doing track since sophomore year.
Nice. For those who know me or don't know me, you'll never catch me running. I hate running. It's a punishment for any other sport. Why would you run? I don't get it. So props to you that you like to run.
Do you swim?
No.
What do you do?
I wrestle. So
Oh,
yeah, that's a grueling sport, but it's not running.
ringworm sport.
I've never gone ringworm. I shower, so we're good. But plus I'm not fast. I'm white, so
Oh my God.
it's the truth. Or not, okay. I'm white and lengthy, so maybe if I were to get in the gym, at Bible study today, they were giving off gym references, but I can't relate. I don't spend a lot of my time in the gym. Just not what I would like to do, but I know it's something that is good. It's good. It's good for your mind and your body and soul. So maybe I'll get in there a little more.
Good transition. I like how you connected that to Bible study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
Not
Awesome
my
reference.
not my first podcast.
Yeah, you're the expert.
No.
Yes.
Okay. So why don't you kind of just like tell us a little bit of like where your faith started, and how things are, and after all that we can go more into like, I think your testimony doesn't stop with like how things are, but where you are right now. So, and we did go on retreat, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, kind of just start us off with whatever direction that you want. But how did you kind of come to faith? Where are you now, kind of?
So my faith started, I was born and raised Christian, but I went to church where I didn't understand the pastor. I didn't understand what he was saying, and I would just like grab the Bible in front of me and a stale pencil and just draw on a little envelope that you'd put the cash in. And I would just draw on it the whole service. I didn't listen. And I just kind of always thought that faith was something for old people, that you had to be wise to understand. And over high school, I got really depressed and I hit an extremely low low. And I was desperate for anything, for any sort of affection. So one day I was scrolling on TikTok and I heard this woman talking about, if you need to hear God, just turn the volume down. And I was in my car and I hit one of my lowest lows, and I turned my music all the way down and I just asked God to make me feel something or kill me. And in that very instant, I just got struck with silence, which is all I'd been craving because my head had been so loud. And I got struck with silence. And after that, I've just been crawling after getting to know the God that decided I was worth saving.
Wow. Wow, that's cool. This is my first time hearing any of this, and so that's just encouraging and impactful. And then what were like some of the steps like after that? Like that was like the shift. That was from kind of like, going just maybe to church or like mindless, or at retreat they said something like this: being curious or interested versus being invested. And so I'm sure you were probably interested. I'm sure you were like, oh, the Bible or faith probably offers good morals, things like that. And then this is the shift. God comes to you in a moment where you needed him. And then how did things start to change maybe? Like what led next?
After I got saved, I decided that I needed to start coming to church. So I hadn't started going to church yet. I decided that I needed to be surrounded by people who might have had a more sharp testimony or a more dull testimony. I just needed to be surrounded by a community who had also been through hardships, knowing that I wasn't alone, being introduced into faith in such an aggressive way where I just needed him. So being surrounded by people who just have no choice but to desire God. So I started going to church, and I was instantly drawn to the worship. The worship like that at a more traditional church is so boring. You just stand up and you read the little book, and it's like, you don't understand the words. You don't understand what they're saying. It's just filled with like thigh and thee, and you don't read it. But I'm worshiping at Red Rocks, and they're singing my testimony, so I just belt it out till the heavens can hear me.
Heck yeah! What's your favorite worship song right now?
I just discovered, I was actually predicting you were going to ask me that, but I just discovered this new worship song the other day. It's called Easy by Elevation Rhythm. Okay. But before that, it's What a God.
Yes, yeah, that one's awesome. What a God. Easy. Okay, I'll have to look in. Well, I'll maybe listen to that later today. For me, Zach Williams put me into Christian music. So it's not. I don't know do you know who Zach Williams is? All right, maybe you'll have to look into him. That's like the guy who put me into worship music. But no, I love this ML or MBL worship right now. That's where I spend a lot of my ears listening to. They have a song called The Wick, just set a fire in my soul, or like my heart, or something about fire. I'm not going to sing it right now. I'm like, I don't know the words until the music comes on.
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay.
That's okay. Exactly. And then where would you say you are now? Like, from like just seeing a little bit about you, from through Bible studies and at retreat and things like that. It seems like you're very like into it. Like, and it's interesting, or like, it's really cool that you said that you wanted to surround yourself. Like once you experienced God, you wanted to surround yourself by people who had this desire for Christ. And, I just kind of like, it seems like you are a person who's now desiring Christ. And And like walk me through that, like just kind of like you said that like the very beginning, the thing that you said is like you experience all parts of the faith, like the down and the highs. And that's really cool that you say that because, sometimes people will only focus on the highs. And so kind of like, what is your outlook on like kind of how your faith has walked out and anything that you got?
I think that's such a hard question to answer because you can be, for me at least,
Mm-hmm.
you can be in the middle of a high season and a low season at the same time.
That's real.
And I feel like when I'm steady and constant in my faith is exactly when I'm at my highs and my lows, like right in between at the same time.
Yeah.
And I can go from being at my absolute highest for 2 days to being like pretty low for the next 2 weeks. And I've always found that faith has always come with more, for me at least, a little bit more lows than highs, but the highs have been so worth it that like I would walk through the longest, deepest, darkest valley of my life just for another 2-day high again with my faith.
Yeah.
And I would do it all over again and over again. Just knowing that there are definite lows in faith, but knowing that I'm going to get saved again and go back to a high later, it's all worth it.
Yeah. For me, it's like God's like showing me that the lows maybe might be even more beneficial than the highs.
Yes.
Or like, so there's a verse, maybe, I'm sure you've heard it maybe, or someone's thrown it around before, but Ecclesiastes 3:1, it talks about how like there's a purpose and a reason for the season that you're going through. Something along those lines. And that's just what I've been like repeating to myself these past few weeks. Because like before this past weekend where we went on retreat, I was just so spiritually burnt out. And I was just reflecting and someone said it, and I really like relate with it. Someone said that like you don't really realize how far you've come until you look back. But if I'm gonna be honest, like I think I've never heard it that way, that how you put it, like, like basically enduring what we go through until the next high season or the next high. And I think I never thought about it. And it is like God brings that redeeming character or presence. But I feel like, if I'm gonna be honest, like I've just been wrestling with the dirt, the ugly, the hard seasons. Like someone asked me this past week, just like why do Christians suffer? And my teacher posed the question. So I'm at a Christian school, so we do have a Bible class, but someone did pose the question, why don't we suffer? And I think everything that's just leading me, like where everything in life is leading my thoughts to lately, is that verse. Just like we go through what we go through for exactly the purpose, whatever God's trying to get us through. And one of my buddies on Monday night gave a message called "Your Pain, but God's Purpose," or something along those lines. And if I'm gonna be honest, like what you said about you can be going through like really good stuff and some like bad stuff at the exact same time. I actually think in the same day, like if I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, do you have anything on that? Or I'm sure maybe.
I was going to ask you what your favorite Bible verse is.
Let's go. My favorite Bible verse is 2 Timothy 1-7. For I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. This verse just, yeah.
Do you love that worship song?
Sound Mind, yeah. And then there's another song called Sound Mind. We are referring to the song from Red Rocks Worship. Corey Miller, Sound Mind, go check it out.
No promo.
Well, it's okay. They know if you've been listening or watching for a while, you know. But
why do you love that verse?
Yeah, why? Because I worry. It's just like something that I wish I did less of, but it's just like so prevalent. I think from being a little boy, I find myself, I worry a lot. I'm anxious, and the part of like, I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power And it's like oftentimes there's moments in my life where I don't feel strong enough to continue. And then, for I'm not giving you a spirit of fear, but of power and then love. So much of like me has been finding my own identity and like not feeling loved enough. So I'm giving you power and I'm giving you love and then a sound mind. Which is like, I think so many of us just want to be at peace. And I think of it like as a sound mind. Like you said, when God showed to you, he gave you silence. You said that your mind was just like making noise. So much was going on. And like, I can kind of relate with that. Just wanting peace, wanting whatever is in my mind to be, especially the lies, the inner voice, or just the enemy to just be silent. And so my verse. I don't know if I'm gonna get it tattooed on me. I don't know if I'm gonna, maybe, but maybe I don't need to be one of those people that gets it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think if you get like a tattoo on
Yeah.
your body, I feel like you could just be able to embody it yourself,
No.
you know?
I saw someone get a tattoo on the inner side of their finger. I think that's kind of cool
Yeah.
because it's like personal and not everyone has to see it. I don't know, maybe. Do you have a favorite verse?
Yeah, mine is Matthew 6:28. Consider how the wildflowers grow.
Okay.
Makes me feel like I have purpose. Everything I've done has purpose, you know? Or like being placed on this earth next to these mountains that have beautiful snow caps and hikes and evergreens along them, and my favorite flowers just growing on the floor somewhere. It's just nice knowing that God thought I was deserving enough to be put on that earth as well.
Yeah. Where does and this might be a little of a transition, but where would your family like fall in line with like kind of like where you are in your life? Like has your family been very supportive in your faith? Like what does your family's faith kind of look like? Maybe your siblings or your parents or
So my dad is the one who introduced me
Mm.
to my faith, but just a basic introduction. He just brought me to that church. And I here and there I'll talk with him about faith just because I know he knows it. He knows it. He knows God. My mom isn't religious at all, and it's really uncomfortable to talk with her about it.
Yeah.
My brothers are not religious at all. So when I got baptized, my family wasn't there, but how I saw it was my whole family was there. All of Red Rocks was there. And it's not necessarily Red Rocks itself that's my family, but it's the church. The
Mm.
people are my family. The people who were in the water next to me getting baptized, the people who baptized me, those are my family. And I love my family. I love my parents and my brothers to death, but
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable to express
Yeah.
my faith.
Thank you for sharing that. I think I can kind of relate with that, not to the exact extent, but like I think yeah, your family sees you, the good and the ugly, the before and the after, and I just know that for me, all I can do is just keep on keeping on.
Yep.
Yeah. What, and if you have anything more on that.
Oh, I liked I was gonna say, I
Yeah.
love what you shared in Bible study when you were talking about it can be uncomfortable to share your faith with your family because they've seen your highs and lows.
Mm.
And I don't know if you heard me when I added on, but I was like, it's also uncomfortable to share it to your friends who knew you before your faith.
Yeah.
Because I think we're on the same level with that. Like knowing that somebody out there has seen you at your ungodliest, it's like humbling. So
What is that like then? Like, would you say that like the friends that have seen you and seen the transition, are they supportive in that? Are you still like close with them? Like, does your friend situation kind of look like?
I ever since my faith journey started, friend my friend circle has gotten a little bit more reserved.
Mm.
And I would say that my friends now are definitely more quality over quantity. Even though I'm still friends with the people who don't know Jesus and they knew me before I knew Jesus, I am definitely not afraid at all to tell them about it. And
Yeah.
I just my mission in these friendships is to show them what God can look like and how God can move through someone. Quinn said earlier about or Quinn talks about how you could be the only Bible someone reads, and I take that to my heart and I try to just show people that look at how patient I am now, or look at how I try to forgive people now. Even though I'm not perfect at it, this is where I started and this is where I'm at now.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, for me, well, yeah, I'm not even gonna say anything. That's cool. Yeah. Heck yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Well, because like for me, it was like, well, growing up, my friends were my brothers, and so it wasn't until high school where really until I made friends, and so all this friend stuff to me is completely new, like 100%. And I'm blessed, like I basically have built-in brothers, um, but I mean, I think I think a lot of people, if I'm gonna be honest, the first like thing that faith brings up with, like especially if you aren't in like a community of faith or something like that, the first thing that like I think new believers walk into is this struggle or line of like what to do with my friends or how do I interact with my friends, um because and some people even see it as like I have to leave my friends or like, and how do they go about navigating all that? And it's hard, but that's something that like if I'm gonna be completely honest, like I don't know how to exactly, like I can't relate with, because it was like, if I'm gonna be honest, my first friends I think in my life have been friends at youth group. Like for me, it was one person invited me to youth group, and it was the first time I genuinely felt like good connection with people. I felt loved, I felt seen. Um, and yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can really relate with like, I think there are people that knew me before Christ. I guess more for me, it's like I can see what I wrestle with who I was before I was with Christ more than with the people around me, because I think people come up to me now are like, Matthew, like you're different, but I've been harsh on myself, and so it's really just figuring it out. Like, who am I now? I think so much of my walk, and I don't mean to. This is not my episode, but just identity. I'll leave it at that. My identity is my biggest um, thing that God has just been showing me, and it's a constant work in progress, and being remembered that if anything, I'm not in what I do or who I am, but just being a son of God. But yeah,
Yeah. How long have you been on your faith journey?
about a year and a half, truly. So yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think I knew Christ, or I knew of God.
Yep.
I knew the stories, I knew the knowledge, I quote unquote, but I didn't wasn't in relationship with Christ. And yeah, he just
Yeah.
wasn't the center of my life, or at least even revolving around it. I've never been the guy who wears a cross necklace.
Yeah.
I don't like jewelry. But for sure, like I wouldn't. I mean, Jesus, like for me, it wasn't like it was at the forefront.
Yeah.
Um, where in your life have you kind of just like I'm sure I want to know, but like what has been like some of the joys and just like the awesomeness, and maybe you could say the struggles too, but just like what has been awesome about now walking in your faith. And we can even kind of start going into retreat, because I know that was an amazing, like just amazing. So, but yeah, like kind of I want to hear like kind of like what now walking in your faith and being it with people and being in community. Do you have any stories of just like cool things that God's done in your life?
I guess now in the strong part of my faith, where
Mm-hmm.
I've been the most educated in my own faith and I've known God the best, um, it's I've grown my friendships with people in the church amazingly. Bella Feltes, I met her. I've only been really, really great friends with her. Um, over the beginning of this school year,
Mm-hmm.
this summer, and it was so nice knowing that teenage girls like me can believe in God. Because I don't know what it is. There's such a stereotype, I guess, around it that like varsity cheerleader or something like this doesn't isn't nice. They're, like they're mean,
Yeah.
and they can be mean, but knowing that there's good people out there just changes my perspective. And as for stories, like
Mhm.
in my faith with other people, I don't think I have that many, just because I feel like it's hard to differentiate what's significant to me, Like, I just can't describe it. I've met so many, like, good friends, like Braden Josephs. I just started getting to know him. I started knowing you, Elijah, Quinn, Emery. I get to know all these people, and I have never wanted to build a relationship with that community more.
Wow. I mean, that's awesome because I can also testify just that so much of, yeah. So I can also just testify quickly that, like, man, like the people that God has brought in my life is crazy. Like, I remember staying up late asking for
Yep.
a friend, because like I said, until I really made a friend, I didn't have a friend. I had my brothers, but not a friend that I want, like a friend. And I look back at that prayer and I believe that prayer, because I prayed that prayer a lot. I personally believe that not only did God answer that prayer, it's like, bro, I feel, and not that the number matters, but if I'm gonna be honest, like it feels like I have 20 friends or something. Like I don't know. Like it feels like God just took that and then multiplied it.
Yep.
So
Wow, that's awesome.
I can totally relate.
That's awesome.
Because I never thought like one I'd have like a friend where someone would just like, I always just wanted to have like a best friend or just like a friend to actually do stuff with. But then God just like did so much with it.
That's awesome. God is so good.
Yeah, so maybe we could start going into. We went on a retreat last weekend. Walk us through how that, because like one thing I'm realizing just a week later, it was this time last week we were at retreat, but sharing those experiences are not only good for us, but like, it's good for people listening. So anything you want, like I'd love to just hear your experience and all of it.
So retreat for me was really interesting because as of this week, I have never been in such a bad dry season. It started at retreat, and is because I got up there and I cry during worship at church. I always do. I just feel it move through my body. And at retreat, I'd cry my eyes out during worship, but I didn't feel God through me. And on the first night, I prayed to God. I said, God, I'm going to give you one word and I need someone to pray it over me. And it was a really super duper easy word. And the days passed and it didn't get prayed over me. Then I asked God to play a specific worship song and they didn't play it for me, which is not my retreat. That's all right. I know that. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. But I know that retreat helped so many people. But at retreat, I just didn't feel God at all, and I was absolutely struck with so much doubt. And I was like, God, you got to show yourself to me because I'm starting to not believe. And so I was in a super dry season, and then Saturday, cry night, breakthrough night,
Freedom night.
I was praying over so many people. I've never prayed over people. I prayed over like well over 20 people that night. And I remember someone telling me that you can tell when God prays through you when you're not conscious of what you're saying. And I was completely conscious whenever I was praying over people. And I realized I was praying the same thing over everyone. And it took me till midnight that night to realize that what I was praying over other people was what I needed prayed over me. And I had some people who I was praying over tell me that what I prayed over them is exactly what they needed to hear. And I was thinking, well, if God's listening to their prayers and like speaking through me to them, then why isn't he listening to me? Like, I need this. Just listen to me. So it felt like he wasn't listening to me at all. So freedom night passes by. I don't get any freedom. The next morning, I'm just holding on to a string. I'm like, God, this is your last chance to play this worship song for me. This is your last chance for someone to pray over me. And I was so anxious that I needed to hear that message, that message needed to be spoken over me, that I was just like out of it. I felt like I wasn't paying attention to the message as much as I could have been had I not just let that expectation go. And I was really disappointed coming down from the mountain, hearing the girls around me on the bus talking about how they had experienced breakthrough. And sorry to backtrack a little bit. Saturday morning we had Bible study, and that was really great. Sunday morning we also had another Bible study. We went into it kind of just freehand, not with a plan. And the topic was about the breakthroughs that we all felt. And I grabbed my notebook and I just start journaling to myself because I was like, well, I'm not included in this conversation. This is everyone else. So I start journaling and I'm writing down my feelings, and I end up writing that I'm so mad at God. I'm so mad and disappointed at God. Like, listen to me. Why aren't you listening? And so we're talking about that at Bible study. Bible study ends and we're all kind of socializing before pre-service prayer starts. I put my journal down and I walk outside of the, wherever we were. I walk outside, and I don't know where I was walking to, but I felt my throat start to close because I was getting ready to cry, and I just couldn't breathe, so I was kind of gasping, and I ran to the top of the hill above the altar, and I just fell onto my knees, and my hands were to the sky, and my head was on the cold concrete, and I was praying, and I was like, God, listen to me. Why aren't you listening to me? You listened to me at the start of my testimony. You listened to me when I was the most desperate for you, but you're not listening to me now when I just want you. And I get up from my knees, and it's still dark out. It's the morning dark. And I walk back to where everybody was, and my face is like swollen. And I was really hoping that even though people would see the tears on my face and the redness on my eyes, that somebody would pray over me. And I did get prayed over, but not what I needed to hear at all. And nobody gave me the answers that I wanted from them because I wanted God to speak through them to me. And pre-service prayer didn't hit for me like it did on Saturday. And the message didn't hit for me like it did on Friday or Saturday. And we're coming back down from the hill, back to that story. And the girls around me are talking about their breakthroughs, and Piper is playing worship music, and she plays the song that I needed to hear. And I was like, this is good, but this isn't by the altar. This isn't what I needed. So I'm journaling again, and I'm just talking about how mad I am with God. And then we get back down on the mountain. I get back home, and I send a text to Bella, and I said, I'm not doing good. I need God, and he's not here for me. And she texted me and she said, you need to get on your knees right now and pray. So I put my phone down, and it's the daylight, and I'm exhausted. I'm running 3 hours of sleep in the last 78 hours. And I get on my hands and my knees, and I just start crying, and I don't say anything. I just get on my hands and knees and I start crying because, they say God can hear your tears, or God sees your tears. And I was so frustrated that while I was worshiping on the altar and my tears were running off my face onto the wood floor, that he didn't see my tears. Or if he did, he was across the room. And I was like, well, hello? What am I doing here? What's the point of this? So I'm on my hands and knees, and I decide that now is the time I need to be thanking God for what he has given me. Because if he's not going to give me anything now, then I need to start thanking for what he has given me. Start thanking for what I have. And I get the urge to go in my car and just listen to worship music. So I'm listening to worship music, and I feel the need to turn the music all the way off, and I tell God, I said, I'm so mad at you. And it reminds me of my testimony.
No.
I said, God, I'm so mad at you. And I said, God, if you're in this car with me right now, you need to put your hand in my hand and your hand on my shoulder. And I don't feel anything. And I'm so mad. I'm like, God, listen to me. Where are you at? And ever since then, over the last week, I've been getting together with a lot of people from the church and just telling them about this experience. And it's always the same answer. It's trust God's plan. And I think this dry season has only been so bad for me because I've never stopped reaching for God this whole time. Throughout this whole week and a half, I've never stopped. And I'm not going to stop because I know he's listening to me. So that's how retreat went for me.
I don't want to add anything to it, because it seems like, people have been like really reassuring, but I'm sure it's like somewhat in the back of your mind, like you can say like trust God, but I don't feel that. So,
Yeah.
but I can say this. This is what I'll say. Thank you for being so real. And by that realness that you just shared and your doubt and everything that you just shared, there's power to that. Someone who's listening or watching just heard that. And that's all I can say.
Hmm.
That like by the voice, and in a way that is a testimony. That is a testimony. That is a story of saying, I am desperate for God. Like you said, I am out here and I am trying to grab God. I'm trying to just like feel him and experience him, and yet I feel nothing.
Hmm.
And so I don't know how to comfort you or say, I'm not going to say anything, but I can say there is power to what you just said, and it's going to help someone. I guarantee you, because there's someone else who's felt that way. I know I've felt that way, and someone who's going through it probably right now. And that's all I'm going to say. Like, there's power to what you just said.
Yeah. I was just hoping that that second testimony I had from retreat is gonna come to an advantage later in life, that I can tell to someone later and tell them he didn't listen to me, and look where I am, and I'm gonna be at the strongest point in my faith,
Mm.
because I know he's listening to me now, because I feel like I grabbed him by the ear and I made him listen to me. I actually was reading through Psalm over the week, and there was a verse, and I can't remember what it was, but um it was about God bend down and hear my prayers, and I thought that is exactly what I need. That's exactly what I need to tell him. And I know it feels like he's not by me and he's not listening to me, but I know he is. Like deep down, my God does not let me fall.
Yeah, I'm reminded of the verse, and you probably have heard it. John 3:17. Jesus says, he's probably saying this to the disciples, or I forget in the context, maybe Pharisees. He's saying to someone, for you do not know what I'm doing now, but you will know later, or you will understand later.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, someone's going to be able to look at what you just shared now, even yourself, and you'll be able to, whenever this season, like, that's why, like I said, like, that's why it resonates so strongly with me right now, that Ecclesiastes 3:1, that, like, there's a reason. I could pull it up right now. I don't know it on the top of my mind, but basically there's a purpose for what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I can say. I am so grateful that you shared that, because it's impacted me, it's inspired me, it's reaffirmed what I'm going through right now, that, like, just, yeah, thank you. It has reaffirmed that everything that I'm going through right now is for a reason, and I don't understand it. I think of like Job. Job so badly questions and asks God, like, he wants to fathom God. I was reading that yesterday, and one of his friends, and eventually later the story of Job, he realizes, and I think he knew, but like in his time of desperation, he wanted to fathom, why are these things happening to me? But the mysteries of God, in some ways, it's nice that we can't. Someone said it this way, but if we knew exactly what God was going to give us 2 years from now, would we be in the posture of actively pursuing it, or would we just sit back and be like, God, you're going to provide it for me anyway, so do I have to do anything?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, yeah, I think I feel like today and this episode has been so, like, we prayed a prayer, Lord, would you allow you to speak? And it just, I feel like there's this circle. We're circling around it right now. And it's all because you are willing to just share that, and we're bouncing off each other. But yeah, heck yeah. I don't know, do you have anything else that you wanted to say, like, just right now, like, right off the heart, or anything?
Um, I just feel like it's important to tell people that you have a purpose, even when you don't feel like it. And um, the hardships that you're going through now is going to speak to someone later. It will speak to someone later. He doesn't just leave you in the dust like that. And I can promise that if I'm going through this right now, and if I'm going to get out of it, because I know I will, that you're going to get out of whatever you're going through. And God has taken you out of all the hard situations that you didn't even know you were about to get put into. So having trust in God is so much easier to preach than to do. Easier to preach than to practice, but why not just trust him? If you are doubting that there is a God, then why don't you just practice like there is one?
Wow. Practice like there is one, even though you can't see it or feel it. Wow.
Adding on to that,
Yeah.
What a God, that song was sticking through me because one of the lines is, if I can feel your heart and never see your hand, I still have it all. And
Yeah.
I was preaching through my dry season. I was saying that if I don't feel your heart and I still don't have your hand, I still have it all.
Yeah, some of these worship songs be so real, so legit. I think of the song like Take the World, but just give me Jesus.
Yep.
It's so easy to sing that, but like what if? What if like there's a question someone asked me and it's on my heart and it's something I think about a lot. But like if God were to take away everything that was meaningful, even maybe some of the things like that were given by God, would you still follow him? Would you still chase after him? Do you love the things that God has provided you, or do you actually like love the relationship with Christ? And if I'm gonna be honest, it's both. But yeah, I mean, like I love Christ, but I'm not gonna lie, I love what he's done in my life. And if that were to be immediately taken away, I mean, obviously, I think in hindsight, I know it's like everything's given from God, but I'd probably be like, God, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm gonna be honest, like I that's something that I just wrestle with, and it rocks me because like I want to say that I would follow Christ if it was just him, but it's yeah, if everything was taken away from me, I don't know, but I do know that I'm trying, I'm trying to be more intentional, so yeah, like that, yeah, that song like Take the World but just give me Jesus, that line there rocked to me because I just feel like if you're gonna sing it, think about it. And I've been thinking about it, and I've been like, it's so easy to sing it, but
adding on to worship songs, Oceans. Oh my gosh,
I don't know.
Makes me cry.
Yeah,
But,
tell us why.
That the one part of this song I'm trying to remember. It's Spirit lead me where my trust is without borders, where my
feet something won't prevent. I don't even know.
Spirit lead me where my trust is without borders, where my feet
walk on water. Never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was listening to that worship song in my car, and I was thinking, yeah, Spirit lead me where my trust is without borders. Like, just let me walk blindly in the faith, and I don't want to look at my feet anymore. I don't want to look at where my next step is.
That's really cool. Props to you. I'm still learning. No, yeah. I can't get behind Oceans personally. I love the song, like what it says. It's overplayed for me. And I know it's not about the song. Like if that song comes on, I'm gonna worship. But
you wouldn't pick it.
No, for me. It's like I've heard it too many times, and to me it doesn't touch me in that way. It doesn't hit me. But that's the thing. It's not about us. Like worship is. It's about like just like, and well, yeah, it's just like I don't know, being present and like just giving glory to God. And so that doesn't mean you have to raise your hands or even anything, but just it's a heart posture. And that's like something that you'll know if you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, lately God has been like, I've been trying to like worship in the back. Like all of retreat and everything, I'm in the back.
In the altar, I went to the back for the last sermon, and I was so sad I hadn't gone there before because it's just so private and intimate.
It's so cool. Like I used to be a very up in the front, and I love it. But if I'm gonna be honest, something I also struggle with. Like, do I go to events to be with God, or is it with the people? Or am I up in the front to be seen, or is it with God? And so I think God like really did speak to me when I was worshiping in the front, and now I'm like, I feel compelled, like, Matthew, one, give that to someone else now. Let someone else experience that. But two, like, you do not need to be seen. Worship is not about you. Get in the back and just
Yeah.
worship in the back, like almost like if no one was there.
Yep.
Because I think I'm going to be completely honest, sometimes I think like, who's watching me? Like, it might feel good if someone were to be like, Matthew, you're worshiping. And so it's like, for me, everything has been pointing me to like being more. I mean, I've been trying to be like, Lord, humble me more. So,
Yep.
but like I can say, I'm working.
Mhm.
God's working actually. It's not what I love what someone said while up at Treat. Our faith isn't about stopping things or even anything of us doing things. It's just what God wants to start in us, which
Yeah.
spoke to me.
Yeah.
So,
It's like the planting the seed but letting God water it.
so yeah, a little like that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just more, I took it as like when I think a lot of our faith is about, or some people think that faith is so much about what we can do. If we're completely honest, like it's not us doing anything. It's just God empowering us. And so, and then even like laws, like, some people might see Christianity as like a bunch of rules and regulations, but what really just spoke to me when that person said something, it's not what we do, but it's what God decides and starts and does in us. And like, I can take the podcast as an example, or anything, like any of the things that I quote unquote started. It's because God, long before I ever had a thought, like long before I ever had a thought of doing a podcast or something like that, God was starting a work inside of me that I didn't know. And, yeah.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
That is awesome. This podcast is super awesome.
It's awesome that you were on it.
It's awesome that you host it. It's awesome that you called me awesome.
Awesome is awesome. I guess real quick, is there any other encouragements that you'd like want to say to just people who are walking in their faith? Anything like that?
I think adding on to what I said before, I guess adding on to what I was saying before is if all of your favorite things that are put on this earth with you at the same time as you, isn't that a miracle? Like, having you on this earth at the same time as me, being able to worship with Red Rocks at the same time that I'm on this earth, and being able to walk outside of my front door and just breathe in this breeze that's so clearing of just all negative thoughts and all doubts, and waking up every day knowing that every day is walking towards my purpose, or I get to look outside and see the snow-capped mountains and the weeds on the floor and the dead grass. It's all beautiful. Like, being put on this earth with all this life that I am so grateful to be put next to be seen as deserving next to it. It's just, it's good to, it's so fulfilling to humble yourself next to everything you love the most. Like, you got chosen to be put here now.
Mm.
So humble yourself. Take a step away from what your phone tells you or what the people, like all the people you follow on Instagram look like. Take a step back and realize that you are here now.
Mm. Yeah, I think that goes well with just like I said, everything that we've been talking on. God orchestrated what we were going to say today. I didn't have any plans or thoughts. So I really,
great.
it did. I guess you good? Like any other closing remarks you kind of want to say? I mean, for me, I feel content, and I just really am thankful for what you've shared. Like I said, it's encouraged me. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel pretty content making sure that you share like your highs and your lows. It all feeds into somebody's testimony.
yeah, heck yeah. Well, I'll put Avery's stuff in the link, whatever. Make sure to go share some love. And if like this episode did reach you or touch you, you could reach out. Or just like I don't know.
Reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk
Yeah,
with
that's-
anybody about anything.
Yeah.
Highs and lows.
Heck yeah. And thank you once again. Thank you for being open and being just like, this is what God's doing through me right now, and this is what I experience with God, and this is what I'm going through, and thank you. Avery Wood, let's go.
Let's go.